Well, the Democratic Party is losing Black and Hispanic voters that they love to pay lip service to. You thought I was going to say they love them. They don't. I'm going to prove that to you. But they love to say that they do. This is from a recent Gallup survey that showed that the party has lost voters in both groups and young people, too. The numbers are kind of shocking. Now, to be clear, they still have more voters in those groups than Republicans, but their hold on it is slipping. Now, two things I want to warn you before we look at these numbers. Number one, there's a lot of curse words in this segment. Some I might say, but some are also in the video clips I'm going to show you, so you've been warned. Also, I just want to say that I'm going to spend a lot of time telling you why I think Democrats are elitist jerks, but that does not mean that I think Republicans are the answer. So me telling you that I reject Democrats is not an endorsement of anything. I realize it's hard to think outside that binary, but I'm going to ask you to. Now, here's a video that went viral recently of someone named Kyle on TikTok who seemed to tap into exactly why Democrats are bleeding viewers. I warn you, he's going to say the F word. Here we go. Take it away, Kyle.
Hi, my name is Kyle. I have been a registered Democrat for the last 22 years. I have voted in every election up and down from the state to local level that I could vote in. I campaigned for John Kerry and Barack Obama. This message is for the Democrats. I fucking hate you. I hate the fact that you've bamboozled us for so many years, touting progressive policies and giving us nothing. I hate the fact that there are so many broken campaign promises. I hate the fact that you've weaponized our rights to scare us into voting for you. I hate the fact that you failed on protecting reproductive rights. I hate the fact that you support economic policies that actually produce the conditions that make fascism viable, and you don't admit that. I hate the fact that you're classist and not actually egalitarian. I hate the fact that you don't support Medicare for all, housing for all, affordable to free secondary education. I hate the fact that you tout small incremental changes to the fabric of our society as a resounding success when people are still economically struggling and hungry. I hate the fact that you won't call a genocide a genocide. I hate you for supporting policies that produce more bombs and not food. I hate you for supporting the status quo and not for doing the right things to make everyone's life better. I hate the fact that you're not mature enough to receive criticism. And I hate the fact that you criticize the rest of us for being idealistic and wanting better for everyone. And I hate you for blaming your failings on procedural precedent, a majority of which is nothing more than rules that are holdovers from the Reconstruction era and Jim Crow. I hate you. And you lost my vote, and you lost many people's vote, and that's your fucking fault.
Yeah, Kyle, say that. Say all of those things. I like Kyle. What is your response to that?
I mean, he's hitting on all of the things that they've paid lip service to over the years, and I think he's hitting on this incremental garbage. I think he's pointing out some of the hypocrisy. This is supposed to be an anti-war party, and yet they've championed billions of dollars to Ukraine and to Israel, and nonstop wars around the world.
Yes. Well, for me, the Democrats really lost me when I realized how I'd been distracted with Obama's race, Hillary Clinton's gender, and I lost that they were responsible for so much war and death abroad. It was like, to borrow a quote from the Bible, I had strained out the gnat and swallowed the camel. After that, it all fell apart. He's right. I think they're snobbish racists. They make black neighborhoods unsafe because it doesn't help anybody when you allow drug addicts and violent criminals to go free and terrorize law-abiding citizens who live in those neighborhoods. They enable perverts through their trans agenda. They shove through a green agenda without studying. They are part of endless war. I could go on and on and on. So I fucking hate them too, Kyle.
Wow.
I said the F word. But a new Gallup poll shows that a lot of people do too. I am part Hispanic. My mom is half Spanish, so I consider myself one of the Hispanics that they lost. Look at the numbers. So the green here is non-Hispanic whites. They're kind of holding steady over the last decade, but it's still below zero. Look at the dotted blue. This is a precipitous loss of Hispanics, and then non-Hispanic blacks is just shifting downward. Now, let's look at these trends for young people, which tend to capture voters early. You know, you go to college, you're well-intentioned, you think the Democratic Party speaks to that. They're also bleeding 18 to 29-year-olds. Look at this top blue line. Young people are just over it. They're tired of it. Women as well. Take a look at this one. They've always had lower membership of men. That is declining, of course, as well. But look how they're losing the women. The men part, though, is something that is they're starting to strategize around it. Take a look at this Politico story from last year. They put together a panel to discuss how Democrats can handle their masculinity problem in a non-toxic masculinity way, of course, right?
We have a man problem.
They got a guy with a cowboy hat. Yeah, they have a guy with a cowboy hat, so it's fixed.
Yeah.
It's fixed.
And a bald black man, so we know
the guy with the
that
mustache.
of which we speak.
Yeah.
Right. And also they're losing the more educated members, as well as, you know how you sort of see these college-educated people tend to be more Democratic-leaning. The postgraduates, which is the dotted red line, that is increasing, showing you there's this institutional capture of higher education. But if you look at just the college graduates only, this dotted blue line, that is declining, as well as people who don't go to college. They've had enough of it. Now, this all tracks with another video that went viral this week from Australian model and actress Holly Valance. Watch.
And have you always been a right-of-centre person, or are you a conservative? Where are you politically?
I would say that everyone starts off as a lefty and then wakes up at some point after you start either making money, working, trying to run a business, trying to buy a home, and then realize what crap ideas they all are, and then you go to the right.
And you heard, of course, of this trust speech just now, Jacob Rees-Mogg. How did you find that? Who was your favourite speaker?
Oh, the speakers today were fantastic.
Okay, we can stop here. That's
so if you're like living off your parents and you're like you don't have to worry about a job and you don't have to worry about anything, then I guess you're a lefty. And then once you actually have to start working, providing for your family, raising children in this society, you're like, I guess I'm a righty.
I suppose.
I guess I'm conservative.
Yes, so you can see why that went viral. It appealed to a lot of us. Now, this problem that the Democratic Party has with people of color, it begs the question, how did they become the party of the people of color to begin with? Because initially, the Democratic Party was the party of the KKK. Well, Candace Owens writes about this in her book. She says that this was part of the work of Lyndon B. Johnson. Now, I'm going to show you her research on this, and you're going to see the N-word. I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to show it to you, so you've been warned. Now, she talks about how while Lyndon Johnson's Voting Rights Act was instrumental in getting blacks to the polls in the Jim Crow South, this turnout did little to leverage the black vote in a way that would be beneficial for the community as a whole. Johnson's legislation, she says, exists in this pact, and he allegedly said, if we do this, we'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Now, she does say that this is a contested quote, but his actions, they're not sure he said it. It's been reported in several places, so I don't want to take it to the bank. But at the same time, here is, again, she says there's uncertainty about whether he said it. But even if he did, another quote attributed to the president by numerous historians and publications lays bare the actual intention behind his civil rights education. Can we go back to the last one? I want to show you that paragraph in italics. Thanks. It says, these N-words getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us since they've got something now they never had, the political pull to back up their uppityness. So now we've got to do something about this. We've got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference. For if we don't move at all, then their allies will line up against us and there'll be no way of stopping them. We'll lose the filibuster. There'll be no way of putting a brake on all sorts of wild legislation that could be for these N-words that they might want, right? It'll be Reconstruction all over again. And historians, again, say that whether he said those exact words or not, a lot of people around him have reported that that was his intention. Historians have said that. No one alive knew Lyndon B. Johnson, as far as I know. Well, actually, I don't know that. That's not true. Probably people who knew Lyndon B. Johnson. Probably plenty of people are alive that knew him.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think.
Okay,
clearly,
so
yeah.
let's not get in the weeds of that. Anyway, what she further says is that it's the historical record of racist voting, racist language, racist policies that is the legacy of LBJ, and the allegiance to a racist party that were there for all to see, culminating in the greatest hoodwinking of the Black community to ever take place. She talks about how he gave entitlement as sort of a hoodwink. Hey, we stand for you. We're going to give you stuff, not enough to become wealthy business owners, just enough that like you can be a drawer, you draw off the government, right? Don't go empowering yourselves into an empowered group of people. She says in one fell swoop, the welfare policies of the 1960s, Democrats laid waste to Black families and homes, crushing aspirations and the entrepreneurial spirit that had once defined our community. So it is a tit for tat. Now, I don't speak for any one of these groups of people, but to me, it shows that this group is sick of this and they're starting to see through it. We showed you this just a couple weeks ago, this free press feature. It's a wonderful piece. It's about how Black Democrats feel super betrayed by the Democrats that they voted in, because their neighborhoods are turning to crap with the influx of drugs and illegal immigrants. Here's this woman, Kata Trust. I'm going to have her say it for herself. She says, "How dare you?" She talked about the politicians allowing her neighborhood to be flooded with immigrants. She says, all these people, I supported them. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? She says she ran campaigns for these people. And then she watches as her schools in her neighborhoods get shut down. And the Black community there has seen an influx of 35,000 immigrants. So when they're told we have to close your schools, we have budget cuts for city sanitation, decline in infrastructure, they're told, oh no, the city can't afford it. And then these illegal immigrants pop up and they can afford all kinds of things. That's funny, right? And weird. So now the Democrats have another group to worry about that's not mentioned in this Gallup poll, but Arabic-speaking descendants, Arabic-speaking voters and their descendants. Right now with the Michigan primary coming up, the Biden administration is running defense on the Arab population in Michigan, which there are quite a lot in that community. That's why the Journal is reporting that the Biden administration has had to send aides to Michigan as supporters fume over Gaza deaths. Now, why would they need to court that vote? Because they are enabling Israel to kill civilians with wild abandon in Gaza, and that understandably upsets the Arabic-speaking populations. So what can Biden aides do in Michigan to answer for this? Good question, right? It's a bad optic. The Journal says this about it, says it remains unclear if the Middle East conflict will remain at the heart of voter concerns for Arab American and young voters in Michigan next fall. And a similar effort to protest Biden failed to take hold in the New Hampshire primary when roughly 1,500 people wrote ceasefire on their ballot for the Democratic candidates. Biden still won as a write-in candidate, though, with 80,000 votes. So with these groups that they pay lip service to loving, there are fissures. Let us know what you think of that.
Well, I also think that with the millions that they're letting across the border and they're giving them $1,000 in universal basic income credit cards and they're giving them cell phones, that they're just basically replacing the people that were featured in that Detroit Free Press piece, so they can replace those people.
Yeah.
The African Americans and Hispanics that live and who are citizens in the United States, they'll just replace them, of course, with Senegal, Somalis, Guatemalans, Hondurans, and give them these credit cards and tell them they have to vote as well. So they'll take care of that. They'll figure out a way.
It does seem that way because Black and Hispanic voters are waking up to the fact that the Democratic Party is not for them. And once that happens, you got to do something. Either you win them back. They're not going to do that.
Right. How are you going to win?
Or you replace them.
Yeah, you just replace them. Replacing them is easier, right? You just open the border and let them in. That's exactly what they're doing. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. You know, YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.